I should have listened to the warnings. Everyone in the village told me the same thing: don't go past the red stones. Don't venture where the jungle grows thick and the air tastes like copper. But I was a researcher, a scientist. I didn't believe in superstitions. I believed in data, in evidence, in rational explanations. That arrogance almost cost me everything. My name is Dr. Sarah Chen, and I'm an anthropologist specializing in lost civilizations. 3 months ago, I received a grant to explore the unmapped regions of the Amazon basin, searching for evidence of a pre-Columbian society that supposedly vanished without a trace. The locals called them Os Escamosos, the scaled ones. I thought it was mythology, folklore to scare tourists. I was wrong. What I discovered in those depths changed everything I thought I knew about human history, and about what it means to be human at all. It was my 8th day in the jungle when I crossed the red stones. They weren't really red, of course, they were ancient boundary markers, painted with some kind of oxidized pigment that had survived centuries of rainfall. My guide, Miguel, refused to go any further. He stood at the edge of the stone circle, his weathered face pale despite his dark skin. "Doctora," he pleaded, "we should turn back. This place, it's not meant for us." But I could see it through the canopy, the unmistakable geometry of stone structures, too regular to be natural formations. This was what I'd been searching for. My career, my reputation, everything depended on this discovery. "Wait here," I told him. "I'll just take some photographs and measurements. 2 hours, maximum." Miguel shook his head but said nothing more. He simply sat down on one of the red stones, pulled out his rosary, and began to pray. I should have asked him why. The jungle changed the moment I stepped past those markers. The air grew heavier, thicker, almost syrupy. The sounds shifted, no more bird calls, no more insect chirping. Just a deep, rhythmic thrumming that I felt in my chest more than heard with my ears. Like a heartbeat. Like the jungle itself was breathing. The ruins were magnificent. Pyramidal structures covered in vines, carved with symbols I'd never seen in any archaeological database. Not Mayan, not Aztec, not Olmec. Something else entirely. Something older. I was so focused on photographing the hieroglyphs that I didn't notice the silence had become absolute. I didn't notice I was being watched. The first one I saw, I thought was a statue. It stood in the shadow of a crumbling archway, perfectly still, its form humanoid but wrong in ways my brain struggled to process. The skin, if you could call it that, was covered in scales that shifted color in the dappled light, from deep emerald to burnished copper. The face was elongated, with eyes that were too large, too golden, too aware. And then it blinked. I stumbled backward, my camera falling from my hands. The figure moved with liquid grace, faster than anything that size should move. Before I could scream, before I could run, there were others. They emerged from the ruins, from the jungle itself, as if they'd been part of the landscape all along. They were beautiful and terrible all at once. Humanoid, yes, but standing nearly 7 feet tall, with powerful digitigrade legs and arms that ended in clawed hands. Their heads were crested with elaborate frills that flared and shifted with what I would later learn were emotions. But it was their eyes that held me frozen, intelligent, ancient eyes that looked at me not with the blankness of animals, but with the calculated assessment of beings who understood exactly what they were seeing. One of them spoke. Not in words, not at first. A series of clicks and hisses that somehow formed patterns, formed meaning. And then, impossibly, words in accented but clear Portuguese. The human female has crossed the boundary. She has entered the sacred grounds. The council must decide. Hands, cold, scaled hands, gripped my arms. I tried to struggle, tried to scream, but one of them placed a clawed finger against its mouth in a gesture that was disturbingly universal. Be silent. Not a threat, but a warning. They led me deeper into the ruins, through passages that descended into the earth. Bioluminescent fungi provided dim light, casting everything in an otherworldly blue-green glow. The walls were covered in more of those strange hieroglyphs, and I realized with a scholar's instinct that this was a language, a written history. These weren't animals. These weren't monsters. These were people. A civilization. They brought me to a vast underground chamber carved from living rock. Crystals embedded in the ceiling pulsed with soft light, and the air thrummed with that same deep vibration I'd felt above. At the center of the chamber sat 7 figures on elevated stone seats, arranged in a semicircle. The council. Each was adorned differently. One wore a headdress of iridescent feathers, another had gold bands wrapped around their arms and neck, yet another bore intricate scarification patterns that formed maps of constellations across their scaled skin. But all of them radiated authority, age, and power. The eldest spoke. His scales had faded to a pale silver, and his crest lay flat against his skull, but his golden eyes were sharp as blades. I am Keeper Reptilian, first voice of the Council of Scales. You have trespassed in our domain, human. For 500 cycles of the Great Star, we have remained hidden from your kind. We abandoned the surface world when your ancestors began their expansion, retreating to the deep places, the forgotten places. We made the choice to vanish rather than engage in the violence that would surely follow contact. His voice was like gravel and silk, each word carefully shaped. He paused, and I realized he was waiting for me to speak. I didn't know, I stammered. I'm a researcher. I study lost civilizations. I didn't mean to intrude. Please, just let me go, and I'll tell no one. You misunderstand, another council member interrupted, a female with copper-colored scales and a voice like wind through reeds. You cannot leave. You have seen us. You have entered the sacred grounds. By our oldest laws, there are only 2 paths forward. My heart hammered against my ribs. And those are? Death, the female said simply. Or integration. The word hung in the air like a blade. Reptilian leaned forward. You are surprised. You expected us to be savages, perhaps? Mindless beasts? We are the Kthara, daughter of humans. We were old when your kind still huddled in caves. We built cities that touched the clouds when your ancestors were painting on stone walls. We chose peace over domination, chose hiding over Holocaust. Integration? I forced the word out. What does that mean? A third council member spoke, younger than the others, with scales of deep cobalt blue. We do not kill needlessly. Our population is limited. We have watched your kind multiply across the earth like locusts, while we dwindle. Every century, there are fewer eggs. Fewer hatchlings. We are a dying people, and we know it. The female council member nodded. Occasionally, over the centuries, a human has crossed our boundaries. Those who proved worthy, who showed no malice, who could learn our ways, they were offered a choice. Stay with us. Become one of us, in all ways but blood. And if they refused? I asked, though I knew the answer. We are not cruel, Reptilian said softly. We made their passing gentle. They felt no pain. But we could not risk our existence for their freedom. You understand this, yes? Survival sometimes requires harsh mathematics. I understood. I was a biologist, an anthropologist. I understood exactly what he meant. And I understood that I was standing at a crossroads between life and death, and the choice wasn't really mine at all. How many? I asked. How many humans have you integrated? In 500 years? The copper-scaled female tilted her head. 7. You would be the 8th. And you would be the first to hold the title we offer you now. What title? The entire council rose as one, a gesture of respect that seemed to cost them something. Reptilian descended from his seat and approached me, moving slowly, giving me no reason to fear. Our Queen Mother passed into the next spiral 3 cycles of the moon ago. She was Kthara by birth, and she lived for 200 of your years. She kept our traditions, guided our young, held the memories of our people. Without a queen mother, we are lost. The young ones grow restless. The old ones lose hope. We fade not from disease or violence, but from purposelessness. He stopped before me, and I saw something in those ancient eyes that stole my breath. Desperation. You have the gift of words, human. You study peoples, their ways, their hearts. Our seers have watched you in the days before you crossed our boundaries. You speak to your guide with kindness. You treat even the smallest creatures of the jungle with respect. You seek to understand, not to conquer. The copper-scaled female joined him. We do not ask lightly. The Queen Mother's role is sacred, heavy with responsibility. You would become keeper of our histories, teacher of our young, voice for those who cannot speak, mediator in our disputes. You would be revered, protected, honored, and you would never see your world again. They gave me 3 days to decide. I was kept in a chamber carved from smooth stone, furnished with surprising comfort, woven mats, soft furs, a basin of fresh water that flowed from some underground spring. Guards stood outside, not to prevent my escape, but to protect me. I was, after all, a potential queen mother. On the first day, I raged. I wept. I thought of my career, my family, my life on the surface. Everything I'd worked for, everything I'd built. Gone. Taken from me by a choice that was no choice at all. On the second day, they sent teachers. Young Clara who spoke halting English, who showed me their written language, who brought me their children, small, wide-eyed hatchlings with scales like polished gems. The young ones were curious, touching my hair with gentle claws, marveling at my soft skin, my small teeth. One of them, a little female with scales of amber and gold, crawled into my lap and fell asleep. I felt something crack in my chest. On the third day, Reptilian came alone. He sat across from me in silence for a long time before speaking. You wonder why we truly need you, he said. I will tell you a truth we have shared with no human. We are not just dying because we have few children. We are dying because we are forgetting why we should live. He gestured around us. We have hidden for so long that we have forgotten what it is we were preserving. Our stories grow cold. Our traditions feel hollow. The young ones ask why we must remain hidden, why we cannot simply let ourselves fade away entirely. And we elders, we have no answer that satisfies. You need hope, I whispered. We need someone who still remembers what it is to dream, he corrected. Someone who traveled into the unknown seeking knowledge, not gold. Someone who looks at ruins and sees not treasures to plunder, but stories to preserve. You are not Clara by blood, Dr. Chen, but you are Clara in spirit. And that is what we need most. That night, I barely slept. I thought of Miguel, probably still praying by those red stones, or more likely having given me up for dead. I thought of my university office, my research papers, my small apartment in Sao Paulo. I thought of the life I had planned, the accolades I'd hoped to win, the discoveries I'd dreamed of making. And then I thought of that little hatchling sleeping in my lap, trusting and warm. I thought of Reptilian's tired eyes. I thought of an entire people slowly surrendering to extinction, not from lack of strength, but from lack of purpose. What kind of discovery could be greater than this? What kind of impact could be more profound than preventing the extinction of an entire sentient species? When they came for my answer on the fourth day, I was ready. I accept, I said. I will be your queen mother. But I have conditions. Reptilian's crest rose slightly, surprise, I would learn. You are in no position to make demands, human. I am in every position, I countered, surprised by my own boldness. If I'm to be your queen mother, then you must trust me. You must let me do this my way. No more hiding in fear. No more slow surrender to extinction. We find a way forward. Together. The council convened. I waited, heart pounding, wondering if I'd just signed my own death warrant. But when they returned, Reptilian was smiling. The expression was alien on that reptilian face, but unmistakable. Very well, Queen Mother. Let us see what changes you bring to our world. Becoming Queen Mother wasn't a metaphor. It was a ceremony. They brought me to the deepest chamber of their city, and it was a city, I'd discovered, vast networks of caverns and carved stone stretching for miles beneath the jungle. Thousands of Kthara lived here, maybe tens of thousands. A hidden world, a shadow civilization. The ceremonial chamber was ancient beyond measure. The walls were covered in luminous paint that had somehow maintained its glow for millennia, depicting the history of the Kthara from their origins to their retreat underground. I saw their golden age, their wars with some enemy I didn't recognize, their decision to abandon the surface. And I saw previous Queen Mothers, painted in places of honor. All Kthara, save one. A human woman from what looked like the 18th century, judging by her clothing in the depiction. I wasn't the first of my kind to hold this role. The ceremony involved ritual baths and hot springs laced with mineral compounds that made my skin tingle and glow. They painted my body with the same luminous pigments used on the walls, marking me with symbols I was only beginning to understand. The council sang an eerie, beautiful harmony of clicks, hums, and whistles that made the crystals in the ceiling resonate. And then they crowned me. Not with metal or jewels, but with something more precious to the Kthara, a living crown. Tiny luminescent insects that nested in a woven circlet, their light pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. It was beautiful and strange and frightening all at once. "You are Queen Mother now," Reptilian pronounced. Voice of the people. Keeper of memories. Guardian of the future. The young are yours to teach. The old are yours to counsel. The lost are yours to guide. The assembly, hundreds of Kthara who had gathered for the ceremony, made a sound like wind through a canyon. Acceptance. Welcome. And then the real work began. The first weeks were overwhelming. I had to learn their language properly, not just the trade tongue they used with rare human contacts, but the deep language, the one reserved for histories and rituals. It was like learning to speak and sing simultaneously, using parts of my throat I'd never consciously controlled. I had to learn their laws, their customs, their intricate web of social hierarchies based not on strength but on age, wisdom, and contribution to the community. I had to understand their technology, yes, technology. The Kthara had developed a form of bioengineering that made them masters of sustainable living. Their lights were living organisms. Their water systems used carefully cultivated bacteria. Their medicines came from fungi farms tended with scientific precision. They weren't primitive. They were different. And I had to learn to teach. The young ones came to me in groups, their eyes wide with curiosity. They'd never seen a human up close before. I became a living lesson, a bridge between two worlds. I taught them about the surface, about human civilization, about the changes that had occurred in the 5 centuries since their people had retreated. In return, they taught me about patience, about long-term thinking, about the value of preservation over progress. But my most important role was as mediator. The Kthara, despite their ancient wisdom, were still people. They had disputes over territory in the caverns, disagreements about the allocation of resources, conflicts between young and old about the future of their species. My outsider perspective, my human viewpoint, became invaluable. I could see solutions they couldn't, ask questions they'd never thought to ask, challenge assumptions they'd held for centuries. Slowly, painfully, I began to earn not just their respect, but their trust. 4 months into my role as Queen Mother, disaster struck. It started with the young ones. A group of adolescent Kthara, frustrated with their hidden existence, decided to venture to the surface. They wanted to see the world their parents had told them about, to understand what they were hiding from. They were spotted by a group of illegal loggers. The loggers panicked, opened fire. 2 young Kthara were wounded before they could retreat. They barely made it back to the city, bleeding and traumatized. The council convened an emergency session. The mood was grim, fearful, and angry in equal measure. "This is what happens when we relax our vigilance," one of the elder council members hissed. "This is what humans do. They fear, they attack, they destroy. We should have never allowed one of them to become Queen Mother. We should have." Enough, Reptilian cut him off, but his expression was troubled. Queen Mother, the wounded will survive. But this incident, it could lead the humans to discover us. What do you counsel? All eyes turned to me. The weight of expectation, of survival itself, pressed down like a physical force. I took a breath, reaching for the calm I'd learned in my months among them. We have three options. We can do nothing and hope the loggers dismiss what they saw as hallucination or myth. We can relocate, abandon this city and move deeper into the earth or further into the unmapped jungle. Or, prompted the copper-scaled female, whose name I now knew was Isarith. Or we control the narrative. We make first contact. On our terms, in our way. The chamber erupted. Shouts of never, and madness, echoed off the crystal walls. But I noticed that Reptilian was listening, his head tilted in consideration. Explain, he commanded, and the others fell silent. You've been hiding for 500 years, I said, but the world has changed. Humans have satellites that can map every inch of the earth. We have drones, cameras, genetic testing. How much longer can you really remain hidden? 5 years? 10? Eventually, someone will find definitive proof. And when that happens, you won't control the story. Someone else will. I stood, pacing as I organized my thoughts. But if we make contact carefully, thoughtfully, with the right humans, we can shape how your people are seen. Not as monsters to be feared, but as an ancient civilization worthy of respect. Not as animals to be studied, but as partners in protecting this ecosystem. And if the humans react with violence, as they did today, asked another council member, then we'll have proof of your peaceful intentions and their aggression. We document everything. We have witnesses. We build international pressure for protection, not exploitation. I know people, scientists, journalists, diplomats who would help. Who would understand? The debate raged for hours. Some supported my proposal. Others adamantly opposed it. But what tipped the balance was unexpected. The young Thara who had been shot requested to speak to the council, an unprecedented break in protocol. But I'd been teaching them that their voices mattered, and now they used them. The speaker was a male named Threshold, his scales a vivid turquoise. His arm was bandaged, but his voice was strong. Elders, I speak for my generation. We do not want to hide forever. We do not want to dwindle and fade in the dark. If there is a chance, even a small chance, to reclaim our place in the world, we must try. Queen Mother is right. The age of hiding is ending, whether we choose it or not. Let us end it with courage instead of fear. The young ones behind him hummed their agreement. And in that moment, I saw the future shift. We spent the next 2 months preparing. I wrote letters to colleagues I trusted, carefully worded to pique curiosity without revealing too much. I made contact with conservation organizations, with indigenous rights groups, with government officials who had shown themselves to be thoughtful about environmental protection. The Thara, meanwhile, prepared in their own way. They created documentation of their history, their language, their technology. They trained ambassadors, Thara, who could speak to humans without triggering fear, who understood diplomacy. And they prepared for the possibility of violence, of betrayal. They created evacuation plans, hidden escape routes, defensive measures that would harm no one but would protect their people if things went wrong. When the day finally came, we did it simply. We invited 10 carefully chosen humans to the edge of the ruins. Anthropologists, biologists, a documentary filmmaker whose work I respected, a representative from the Brazilian government's Indigenous Affairs Department, and a human rights lawyer. And Miguel. I insisted on Miguel. He'd waited by those red stones for 2 days before giving me up for dead and returning to the village. He deserved to know what had happened to me. I met them at the boundary, wearing my ceremonial robes and living crown. I'll never forget their faces when they saw me, shock, confusion, recognition. Dr. Chen, one of my colleagues gasped. We thought you were dead. There was a search, but... I know, I said gently. And I'm sorry for the worry I caused. But I'm very much alive, and I'm here to introduce you to something extraordinary. And then I stepped aside, and let them see. Sethralian approached first, moving with careful dignity. Behind him came Isarith, and Threshold, and a dozen others. The young ones hung back, excited and nervous. To their credit, the humans I'd chosen didn't scream. Didn't run. They stared, yes. They stumbled backward, yes. But they stayed. My name is Sethralian, the old Cthara said in careful English. And we are the Cthara. We have hidden from your kind for 5 centuries. But our Queen Mother has convinced us that the time for hiding has passed. We come to you in peace, seeking not dominance, but coexistence. Seeking not to threaten, but to teach. Seeking not to take, but to share. What followed was hours of careful, cautious conversation. Questions asked and answered. Fears voiced and addressed. Barriers slowly, carefully dismantled. It wasn't perfect. There were moments of tension, moments where ancient instincts nearly overcame rational thought on both sides. But we persevered. The documentary filmmaker captured everything. The anthropologists wept at the sight of the ruins, at the chance to learn from a living ancient culture. The government representative immediately began discussing how to legally protect the Cthara territories. The human rights lawyer started drafting frameworks for Cthara citizenship and rights. And Miguel just smiled at me with tears in his eyes and said, I knew you were special, Doctora. I knew God had a plan for you here. That night, we celebrated in the underground city. Cthara and humans, side by side, sharing food and stories and hope. The young ones performed a traditional dance, and my human colleagues tried to mimic the movements, laughing at their own clumsiness. Barriers dissolved in laughter and curiosity. I stood with Sethralian, watching it all. You have given us a great gift, Queen Mother, he said softly. You have given us a future. You gave me something too, I replied. Purpose. A chance to be part of something larger than myself. A chance to help preserve something truly precious. Do you regret it? Your choice to stay? I thought about that question. Thought about the life I'd left behind, the career I'd abandoned, the family I'd said goodbye to in my heart if not in words. No, I said finally. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. That was 3 years ago. Today, the Cthara are recognized by the international community as a sovereign indigenous nation. Their territories are protected by law. Scientists come to learn from them carefully, respectfully, under strict protocols that the Cthara themselves control. The young ones now venture to the surface regularly, always in groups, always with safety measures. They attend universities, learn about the modern world, bring knowledge back to their people. Some have chosen to live part-time among humans, serving as ambassadors and teachers. The population is growing. Slowly, carefully, but growing. Hatchlings are being born more frequently, perhaps because hope has returned, perhaps because the Cthara no longer feel they're bringing children into a world of slow extinction. As for me, I'm still Queen Mother. I still teach the young ones, counsel the elders, mediate disputes, and keep the histories. But now I also serve as a bridge between worlds, helping humans understand the Cthara and helping the Cthara navigate the strange, chaotic, beautiful world of humanity. I video call my family once a week. They struggle to understand at first, but they've come to accept my choice. My mother still cries sometimes, but she's also fiercely proud of what I've accomplished. I've been asked many times if I'll ever return to human society permanently. The answer is always the same, this is my society now. These are my people. Both human and Cthara. I don't have to choose between worlds anymore. I get to live in both. Sometimes, late at night, I stand at the entrance to the underground city and look up at the stars through the canopy. I think about the strange path my life has taken, about the choice that wasn't really a choice, about the role I never imagined I'd fill. And I smile. Because sometimes, getting lost leads you exactly where you need to be. Sometimes, the best discoveries aren't the ones you set out to make. And sometimes, the greatest adventure is finding out who you truly are when everything familiar is stripped away. I am Dr. Sarah Chen. I am a scientist, an anthropologist, a bridge between worlds. I am Queen Mother of the Clara. And I wouldn't change a single moment of this strange, beautiful, terrifying journey.